G'day, my name's Giuliano and this is my cancer story. 2 weeks before Christmas, roughly, I got diagnosed with cancer, squamous cell cancer. It was found secondary in my lymph node, right hand side of my neck. Multiple scans, MRIs, PET scans, contrast scans, whole heap of scans to find the primary source, which was found to have been on the base of my tongue, where my lingual tonsils were when I had them removed. After I had them removed in about 2015. To say I was scared when I found out would be an understatement. And you can probably already hear by the tone of my voice that it is probably getting a little bit shaky already, just talking about it. But what do you do? I've got treatment being chemotherapy once a week for 7 weeks, radiation 5 days a week for 7 weeks. I've been told to begin with it's going to be pretty easy going, but will progressively get worse. And whilst treatment's only for 7 weeks, the outcome of the treatment looks pretty grim for up to 6 months. This has been a difficult time for myself, my wife, kids, not knowing what's going to happen. I know that the good thing is we know that it's curable. So there is a positive. There are a lot of people out there who don't have a curable cancer. They haven't caught it as early as what I have. So I have been quite lucky. I do have to thank my wife immensely for this. We both were crook last year sometime. And it was after we got better, I kind of checked and felt a lump in my neck. It was a little concerning. It was only on one side, wasn't on both sides. I thought, maybe it might just be remnants of the flu or whatever it was that we had. So I booked an appointment with the GP. So I thought, I'll just get it checked out. And if it wasn't for my wonderful wife saying, make sure you mention about how hot you get at night, sweating and all the rest of it. And so I did that. I went to the GP and I told them, look, this is what I've got. These are my symptoms. This is my symptom. I have this enlarged lymph node. By the way, I'm getting really, really hot at night. If it hadn't have been for that, she wouldn't have done the biopsy on my lymph node and we wouldn't have found the cancer. I know us blokes, we seem to be pretty hard going when it comes to being sick. She'll be right, get over it, whatever. I never thought this would be the thing to really wake me up. I didn't think in mid-40s that I'd have cancer. I didn't, I thought, if anything, the biggest issues I'm going to have is falling off a motorbike or God knows what. But cancer was the furthest thing from my mind. So when I got the phone call just before Christmas saying that this was the outcome, it was a real eye-opener. So guys, don't be hard. If you think something's wrong, get it checked out. I'm extremely lucky that I got this as early as I did. I've probably had it for about 6 months or so, according to how big it is, but it is still early stages, which is good. It means it's a good outcome. It means it's curable, but it's still scary as shit. So I'm going to try and do a video daily during the weeks, just updating what the experience is like with chemo, with radiation, and how it progresses, just to give you all an idea of, I guess, what it's like. I know many of you probably have, or know someone, or have even experienced cancer yourselves. I've got a few friends who have gone through it, and it's always, if there's anything I can do. To be honest, I'm thinking about you all the time. Whilst it's nice, it kind of doesn't help. It can. I know I've got it. I know everyone's thinking of me, and it's more. The biggest concern I have is the support from my wife. She's the one who needs a lot of the support. As she's even said herself, she's the one. She has to sit back and watch me go through this, and she can't do anything. All she can do is try and manage finances because I can't work for the next 6 months. She's got a lot, she's going through a lot as well as her own sickness as well, that she has to manage. So it is really difficult. Anyway, treatment. Where do I begin? So yesterday was my first day of chemo. It was a 5-hour session from turning up at 9 o'clock in the morning, signing paperwork. God, one thing they don't tell you is the amount of forms that you've got to go through. I've got 2 oncologists, the gyms, Gym 1 and Gym 2. It's where they should start a franchise, much like Gym's mowing, but Gym's oncology. One's for the chemo, one's for radiation. I have to see both of them every week. I've got chemo on Mondays, every Monday for 7 weeks. I've got radiation Monday through to Friday for 7 weeks. Chemo started off yesterday, and it was, to start off with, they couldn't get my veins with the cannula. Got tried twice in my right arm. Apparently, with the cannulas for chemo, they don't do it on the back of your palm, and they don't do it in the crook of your elbow. These are generally placed in your forearm, from what I was told. Less chance of bending your body parts, so there's no kinks. So I had 2 tries here in one of my veins, and they couldn't get it because apparently my veins are runners. Every time they try and stab me, that just sods off and goes somewhere else. So after 2 failed attempts, I had a second nurse brought in, and she was able to use my other arm and find another vein and go in there. Needle, not small. I wasn't watching, but yeah, I was told. I had about 1 litre or so of magnesium go in first. Not too sure what the magnesium's for, but it went in. After that, there was about a half an hour to 45-minute run of steroids. The steroids is to help, I think, with nausea and the vomiting and so forth that chemo generally brings on. The third session was the chemo drug itself, cisplatin, I believe it's called. It's one of the harsher ones, so I was told, with some pretty gnarly side effects. I'm not too sure if I get all the side effects. I don't know. Yesterday was only the first treatment. I was told if I can get to all 7, I'd be doing pretty well. Generally, people stop at about 5 because kidneys start to fail and your body starts to kind of shut down and God knows what else. So I'm not looking forward to that. So yesterday, I think we left I left the cancer centre at about must have been close to 3 o'clock by the time it was all said and done, and all the drugs were in and all the rest of it. I advise don't eat all the free biscuits they give you. My God, I felt like shit afterwards. I ate way too much. I felt crook last night, but that was more for the biscuits than the chemo. I was really tired. Come about 7:30 at night, my eyes just wanted to close. I tried to hold them open as long as I could. I lasted till about 8:30 and then just had to cark it on the bed. It was, yeah. And then because of the steroids, I woke up at midnight. I was up for about an hour and then went back to sleep and then up again just after 3 o'clock. They also gave me a couple of other drugs to take, a couple of other steroid type style drugs, which help with nausea. So one I have to take for the 3 days following chemo treatment, 2 in the morning, every morning for Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday with food. The other one is kind of 3 a day, but on an as-need basis. So if I don't feel nauseous, I don't need to have it, which is good, because I don't like taking drugs anyway. Yeah. What else? So after that, went and had radiation. That was fun. They lay me down on a bed, basically in a big MRI machine. Well, it's not even an MRI machine; it's just a laser machine. And there's a mask that they put on that squashes your head, so it covers me from about my chest all the way up to my head. If I can figure out how to imprint a photo on here or add it in the comments or something, I'll do that later on. But it's a mesh mask that they strap you in, and basically my head is stuck to the bed. I can't move. When they first put it on, it was essentially just like a flat, almost like it was a U-shaped frame with just a flat piece of green mesh. They heat it up to make it moldable, and then they basically just squash it over your face, and then they lock it in to the base of the bed, and that holds your head in one position so you don't move. Because the radiation's quite targeted, especially where I've got it here, they need your head in one particular space. You can't have you moving around or, coughing, spluttering or whatever. So you've kind of got to be trapped. It only lasts for about, it's just under 10 minutes. So it's not a long time. The treatment itself is only about 2 minutes, but you're in there for a bit longer, as I said, for about up to 10 minutes. It is a little scary because, you physically can't move. Like, even if you just kind of, shrug your shoulders, it's whatever. But this is something that you just can't move in. The rest of your body can move, but your head being trapped is, probably for some people it's a bit of a, I can't deal with it, and I have to. This is not really a choice. It's not a long time, but it is. Yeah, I can feel the pulse in my neck as they put the mesh on. It doesn't happen straight away, but probably 30 seconds to a minute in, I can feel my neck pulsing with every heartbeat, whatever it is, and it pressing against the mesh. And it's I sit there and I try not to swallow because I want to make sure that my that when the radiation starts, that it's hitting the spot, and I'm not trying not to move, and I'm worried that with every beat of my pulse, it's is it hitting the right spot? Is it not? Luckily, the ladies there at the cancer centre have been really good. They've explained a lot of things to me. So that was radiation. That was yesterday. They generally say the first couple of weeks you don't feel anything with radiation. It's essentially like getting sunburnt on the inside of your neck, on the inside of your throat. But it's a progressive thing. So whilst it's only a little bit of sunburn yesterday, a little bit of sunburn today, and tomorrow it'll be a little bit more and a little bit more, because it's progressive. As time goes on, whilst I'm only getting 90 seconds to 2 minutes of this, sunburn, it's it's sunburn, essentially sunburn on top of sunburn on top of sunburn for 35 days. So towards the end, apparently, my throat's going to close up. I'm going to have massive ulcers in my mouth. I may need to drink my food to the point where if it gets that difficult, I'm probably going to have a tube jammed up my nose or living through a feed bag in my guts. I refuse to do that. I'll do everything I have to not be fed through a tube. I'm stubborn. What can you say? What else? So today is Tuesday, the 9th of January. All my first sessions of chemo and radiation were yesterday. So far today, I've been okay. I felt a bit woozy this morning. They mentioned something about chemo fog, which is where your brain gets a little foggy. So your thought process don't come through as clear as what you'd like. And I have experienced a bit of that today. Even just trying to talk now, there's a few things that I'm trying to think of to say, but I can't get them out because my mind just won't let me. It's shit. Cancer sucks. But it's curable. That's a positive for me. I've got a really, really good support network through friends and family. They've offered to help with, whatever I need help with. Big shout out to everyone who has been supportive. Thank you very much. I'll keep everyone up to date as best as I can, but this is probably the best way to, if you want to stay in touch, as I said, I'll try and do this on a daily basis to let you know how it progresses. There probably might be many changes over the coming days, especially with radiation. It's more so with how I'm feeling after chemo. I think because that's the worst of it, at least for the time being. There is a shit ton of information they give you. It's very, very, very overwhelming. The amount of booklets I've got, I reckon they've cut down a couple of forests to get, to print all the pages, to, get all the paper for these booklets. There's that many booklets I've received. Business cards and the amount of paper I've got to sign for, I've arrived today, sign this, fill out this form. Well, I've just filled out that form. But you need to do the same form again for a different doctor. Okay, why can't you just copy it and give it to, no, it's got to have his name on it or whatever the case may be. I don't know why, but it's just, it could just be the centre where I go. I don't know. But there's an awful lot of forms to fill out. There's a lot of help though, which is good. There's like client service officers or whatever you want to call them, that are very helpful. Had one of them sit down with my wife and I yesterday whilst I was having chemo, and she was really good. So big shout out to her. She explained a lot to myself and my wife about, essentially what's going to happen. The worst I'm going to experience is probably, in terms of sickness, will be over the 7 weeks of chemo. That's even if I take all 7 weeks of chemo. I might only last 5. They say to try and get to 5, but I mean, if I can get to 7, I will. But if I only get to 5 because my body doesn't want to take poison anymore, hey, I don't blame it. I don't really want it, but I don't really have a choice. One thing I will say is nutrition is pretty important, and so is your mental health is really important, and your physical health. I managed to go for a walk this morning, which was really good. It was slow, but it was good. And I need to do exercise. Exercise and chemo apparently will go hand in hand, and they work really well together. So, if this is what if this is your experience, if you're experiencing the same thing, if you've just found out you've got cancer, or you've got to go down the path of chemo, I don't know. I mean, I can't give you any support other than just what I'm going through. But or if you just want to know anything, I mean, I can, I can give you as much information as I can. But I mean, I'm only going to be regurgitating what other people have told me. Trying to move to a cleaner diet. I mean, my wife and I were eating pretty clean anyway, but after getting the news before Christmas and then having Christmas and New Year's, I mean, let's face it, I guts myself. I ate a shit ton of crap. I put on way too much weight. I probably put on 8 or 9 kilos more than I'm normally at. So I'm now going to try and get back down to what I was. However, if I drop too much, that's when the dietitian steps in and says, right, we need to stick a tube in you and feed you. So that's what I'm kind of not looking forward to. I was also told yesterday that, especially with the chemo, and the way that it does affect the body, because it does affect all your organs, not just targeting where your cancer is. I may end up in hospital as an inpatient, where I'll be fed there and watched, and have chemo and radiation. I think that's a later on thing. It's not in the immediate future. But I don't know what else to say really. I guess that's the sickness side of things. Other than that, the other things are my physical and my emotional state. My physical state, I feel fine. I think for me that was the big thing. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with me. I felt a lump in my neck and I went, yeah, that's weird. That shouldn't be there. I'll go get it checked. I don't know why I said I'd get it checked. It was just somewhat concerning. The normal me wouldn't have gone. There was just something that said, go get it looked at. Had I found that 3 months prior, I probably would have said, fuck it, whatever. I don't care, whatever. It's just a thing. It'll go away. But I found it, and I went to the GP, told her about it, and again, as I said, because my wife mentioned about the night sweats and so forth, she said, mention that, and that will that might be sorry, brain fog. It might be a symptom of something. And it turns out it was. So had I not mentioned it, wouldn't have found out. But from a physical point of view, I mean, only after chemo do I feel tired. I feel lethargic. My brain's a bit foggy. But prior to this, over Christmas, New Year's, I mean, other than having, shit wrong with me with the rest of my body about my knees and whatever else, I felt like I could run a marathon. Not that I can run, but I felt like I could, as in my body didn't feel like it was cancerous. I wasn't vomiting. I wasn't sick. Hadn't been sick for ages, other than that, what I thought I might have caught from, my wife when she got crook. I thought I might have got something from her. But other than that, I haven't felt sick at all. So it come as a big surprise. So that's kind of like the physical aspect of it. Emotionally, well, what can I say? I've been in tears more times than I can think of. It's not a nice feeling being told that you've got cancer. It's pretty average. I'm worried. I get worried about the side effects, what's going to happen. See, waterworks. I do get. I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit scared about the side effects. There are some pretty fucking gnarly ones. I don't even know. I'll get a list and I'll share some tomorrow, but in the next video. But that's one thing that does get me. I really don't want to be fed through a bag. Even, I mean, not that I like. I think anyone who likes getting needles and cannulas, you're all sadists in my mind. But I tolerate getting a needle. I was there yesterday having chemo, and I saw people that had portacath, which is essentially a device they put here just above your heart, which they feed all your chemo and all your drugs in through there. So that way you don't need to go in and get a cannula every time. But I figure if it's only half a dozen times, I can deal with it, as long as they find it the first time, not the third. I don't like being stabbed that many times. I don't like the idea of having a portacath. I don't like the idea of the side effects. I don't. They do worry me. They do scare me. I'm also worried for my wife. She's got her own illness to deal with. She's also the only one who's working at the moment, so she's trying to support us financially, which is difficult. She's trying to look after the household. She's trying to support me. She's trying to work and deal with kids and look after her own health, being physical and mental health. We had a chat this morning on our walk, and she brought up the being able to, or she's, her being there and not being able to do anything, watching me go through all this bullshit, but then she's not able to do anything. And I get it, because I know she has to have an infusion once a year, and she does that by herself because she's used to it. But it's it's one of those things. I watch her on a daily basis where she can't, she's struggling, her bones hurt, and it really messes with her, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I know where she's coming from, and it sucks. You've got the love of your life who's going through something and you can't do anything about it, and it's pretty shit. I can't thank her enough for everything she's done and that she's doing, and that we'll have to go through. There's going to be some fucking shit times. We're probably going to hate each other, but we're going to try and maintain a positive outlook. A negative outlook is not the way to go. Again, it's curable. So there is a positive at the end of all this. I don't have a terminal disease. It's not something that's going to get me. It's just something I just have to deal with. Yeah. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. The first week of hearing about it, I was really emotional. I told my 9-year-old son straight away. I told my wife, obviously, I told my wife first, obviously, and then told my son when she came home from work, and we all sat down and had a cry. It does take a toll on those around you. Whilst friends and family, I mean, they get it, but they don't get it, but they get it. I know what I mean. Yeah. But look, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult situation to be in, but at the end of it, I know I'm going to come out, well, I think I'm going to come out on top, especially considering I'm still trying to study at uni as well, which my conveners for the 2 courses I'm doing this trimester have been really, really helpful, which has been fantastic. Yeah. I guess to end, all I can say is, you know, if you're watching this because you stumbled across it, yep, whatever, awesome. You know my story. If you're watching this because you've just been diagnosed and you want to know what treatment's like, then stay tuned. I'll post more videos. If you're watching this because you've had a loved one or you know someone who's experienced or who's just found out they've got cancer or whatever and they're going through treatment, awesome. You know, I'll try and give as much insight into what I'm experiencing as I can. Again, as I said, I'll try and get this done on a daily basis, so you can progressively see how I'm doing with my treatment. Bear in mind, all treatment is, I mean, everyone's treatment's going to be different. My treatment's going to be different from someone else who may even have the same type of cancer. You know, I don't know. But for me, it is squamous cell carcinoma. It's, I think someone mentioned T1N1. I don't know. It basically means it's early stages. They've got it really early, which is good. So it's not at a really, really bad stage. So the chemo and the radiation should just knock it for 6, I'm hoping. The chemo oncologist seems to think, he just said, look, you're curable, don't worry about it. It'll be shit 6 months, but don't worry about it. As I said at the start, I've been poked and prodded more times than I care to imagine. The amount of contrast scans I've had, the blood tests I've done, I reckon they've taken probably 4 litres of blood out of me the entire since I first got diagnosed, just to try and, you know, and I need to have blood tests done every week. So my days generally look like Monday morning chemo, Monday afternoon radiation, Tuesday morning radiation, later Tuesday morning I catch up with the radiation oncologist. Wednesday is just radiation. Thursday is just radiation, and Friday is radiation, and then catching up with the chemo oncologist and getting a blood test. Yeah. So my days are pretty full, and then I've still got to fit in uni around that, writing assessments, doing exams, and my exams will be, luckily for me, pretty much at the worst time of when I'm going to be experiencing chemo and radiation. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I don't know. It's that I'm just going to have to deal with. Yeah. But anyway, I've been yabbering on for long enough. Jeez, my eyes are shit. I've been yabbering on for long enough. If you've watched all this, thank you. Yeah, stay tuned for more. And we'll, I guess, see you on the other side. Cheers.